So there is no such secret recipe, but it's just that understanding each other in the right particular manner, dropping our ego at the right particular time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Startup Story Spotlight. This is a platform where we bring you insightful conversations from the world of startups. And joining with me today are two founders of Bramhansh. Bramhansh is revolutionizing the medtech industry one device at a time. And we'll hear more about it from the founders itself. So, thank you so much, Karthik. Thank you so much, Jaideep, for joining on this conversation with us. Very delighted to have you. Can you start by telling us a bit about yourself and about what Bramhansh does and why the name Bramhansh? We're very excited to know that. So, Karthik, Jaideep, we'll start with you.
Sure. So, first I'll go with the name. Why the name Bramhansh? So, it's a pretty Sanskrit name, Bramhansh. So, Brahm means the Brahman, which means the cosmos, and Ansh means the part. So, the part of cosmos, and the very fundamental part or the fundamental thing in the whole universe with which we all are made is actually the wave. So in our logo also, inside the B there is a wave. So and also the first device, that is microleaf, also works on the fundamentals of wave and vibration. So that is how, because we were fascinated by how how universe works and the theories around it, like string theory. So that is how this name came. And the second part of the question is that what has been our background and how Karthik and I came towards this innovation. So we in our college time, Karthik and I used to sit in the same bench, which not just the batchmates, we were benchmates actually. So during that time, we had done many medical related projects. And out of that, because I myself had suffered general anxiety disorder, so I got to know many things about the therapies which were used for the mental health disorders. So during that time, we thought that if there could be any therapy using the sound waves and that can stimulate certain part of the brain, with the help of which we can help the people suffering from the mental health disorder, and me too. So that is how we started experimenting. And during that time, we were working on bone conduction technology. So we used the same technology for generating waves and sound waves. But the major difference in this technology of generating sound wave is that it can produce those sound waves which can travel through bone. Normally, sound waves travel through air, but this technology can penetrate through bone and can stimulate certain region of the brain, with the help of which we can have the benefit of altered state of consciousness. Means when we are depressed or when we are suffering certain sort of disorder in the brain, then there are different circuitry which are working in the brain, and when we are happy, there are different circuitry, and the communication with the neuron, between the neuron at the frequency which it is happening, is different. So with the help of this technology, we were trying to change that. So after 3-4 years of dedicated test human trials, now we have launched in the past 3 months. We are into market also. So that is how it has came up. We basically are engineers. We graduated in 2018, and we got some good opportunities through government. We participated in it, and we were the winner of national level competition at that time. That was Smart India Hardware Hackathon. So through that, we received some grants, some good grants, and a good contacts. During that time, we met our two mentors. One was ISRO retired scientist Deepak Bopatkar. The other one was Sudarshan Natu. He was ex-vice president of Harman. So they helped us very much in our whole journey of product development.
Awesome. So, Jaideep, you've told us so much. I have already so many questions, but before that, we'll move to Karthik. Karthik, give us a brief introduction of yourself. What do you do? And tell us about yourself and how do you relate with the company?
So me and Jaideep, as Jaideep mentioned, that we completed our graduation in 2018, and I also am a electronics and telecommunication engineer. And since my college days itself, there was some of the fascination related with working towards building something. Working towards building something. It was not very obvious that I was knowing about entrepreneurship or startup as a culture. We were very fortunate enough that after completing our graduation, this whole startup culture was booming, and we were at the right place at the right time with the right amount of opportunities. Which, though we didn't knew about it, how big that opportunity was, but we were very glad that we were a part of it, and we acted as a pioneer for all this setup of this industry. If we talk about fast forward to 5 years, there are so many medtech industry where you can talk about, where you can speak to such people, and such the community has been built. But while we were starting up, it was something that we had to gain a lot of knowledge from our mentors, from initial people who helped us in growing, and a lot of support was there from the government itself. So yeah, it was a very bumpy ride for us, but we are glad enough to sit here and share the whole experience with Startup Story over here.
Awesome. Good to know. So, two engineering boys on their way to revolutionize medtech industry and give a great quality of life. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
What's better than that?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you talked about your latest product, Mic Relief, which helps people with migraine in exactly 20 minutes. Tell us about that breakthrough technology. Tell us more about it. How did you build that? And Jaideep, especially you said you've had anxiety, and so after using this, how has been your own experience? Tell us about that as well, and give us a little glimpse of this technology. How do you think is going to really help people, in their lives? So over to you. Yeah.
So I'll talk about the technology. So the technology comes in the category of neurostimulation, and there are pretty much options in terms of the methods available with which we can do the brain stimulation. So now, as we are talking about the brain stimulation, we should know what exactly the brain stimulation is. So as I was talking about the mental health disorder, so mostly what happens in the mental health disorder is in our brain there are small neurons which communicate with each other, and then there are different lobes and different parts of the brain where the circuit means these neurons are firing at a certain frequency. So if suppose certain neurons are firing more than the normal cases, then the person might be more agitated. Means if I'm overthinking, then my neurons would be firing more. If I am very much relaxed, I'm in a very calm state, then the firing will be less. And the exciting part of it is that we can see this firing with the method called EEG, electroencephalography, with the help of the electrodes, and scientists and doctor can actually see this in screen at which frequency which particular lobe is firing and how is it working. So we can exactly relate the state of the mind of a person with this firing, and they have defined the certain levels like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, theta. So if we stimulate these neurons, the firing of the neurons, if we stimulate it to bring down the frequency of the firing or to bring up the frequency of firing, then we can change the state of mind. let's say some person is depressed, then the firing of the neuron of certain region might be less, and because of that, that person is suffering abnormal state, or what we can say very depressing state. But if with the help of neurostimulation method we can activate those neurons, and we can bring the level of that neurons firing into a normal level, then we can correct it. So this is the whole funda of the working of the technology. In our case, we are using the sound waves, because sound waves have the bone conductive sound waves have many other advantages than the just electrical stimulation or magnetic stimulation. So this electrical stimulation and magnetic stimulation are also the way to stimulate the brain, but we are actually using sound waves to stimulate these neurons. So we started experimenting in 2017 actually with different methods, and with the help of brain waves we found that we can actually change the state of the mind, and we were able to see it with the help of EEG in the screen, that we are able to shift the state of mind with this technology. So that's how it started, and after many trials then we got to know that it is very much helpful in the migraine cases. So we had to target our market for this particular device. So we targeted migraine because this technology can actually deliver very good results in terms of relieving the pain of headache. So we also tried in different categories of people, starting from the anxiety disorder to the depressed peoples, and then the people suffering from different sort of headaches. So in the headaches we found that the results are very promising, so we thought to continue with it, because in migraine there are no medicines which actually cure the migraine. There are just medicine which manages the symptoms. So we thought that if we can bring this solution in the gap where there is no cure, and if we at least solve the problem where people are just finding one after another medicines to solve the migraine, then it will be a really great help for the people. So it will decrease the drug dependency. It will be a very good solution which doesn't cause any side effects, because if we talk about the medicine, so there are limitations. Like if I talk about triptans, so there are dosages described. If that dosage also doesn't work, or the suffering is not less, then the person if takes one more dosage of that drugs, then the result can be very devastating. There could be other adverse events because of that. So in those cases this device is very helpful, where it can manage this pain problem. So that is how this technology developed, and that is how it is going to help the people in future also to the treatment of migraine.
Okay, awesome. So, Karthik, I actually come to you. What all impact have you actually seen of this device in the people? If you can just share with us some examples, some insights into that.
So, like Jaideep mentioned, it was all started way ahead with the sole motto to decrease the stress among people. So that's how we started, and we started hosting camps for the same. And while these people who were suffering from stress, who were anxious, or all these people were coming, they all reported a specific case that their headache was getting reduced. Their headache was getting reduced, and they were able to sleep also with the help of device. They usually felt asleep for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and in some cases they used to be in deep sleep and talk about some dreams also that they had during this particular sleep. So that was the whole starting point, where we got to know a lot about how headaches can be help, how this device can also help for the headache patients also. So since the data was a lot towards this particular use case, then we also had conversation with neurologists and the right key opinion leaders in this particular spectrum of the domain. So while having a discussion with them and identifying the exact use case in terms of the migraine patients, that's when we started to see very positive results for this particular aspect of the product. And that's how we kick-started, conducted the right clinical trials, and talked with the right set of neurologists, circulated the device amongst the right set of customers. And right now our whole planning is also in those spectrum also, that first we want to cure and help the people who are currently suffering from a severe condition where they don't have an other alternative other than medicines. And our next plan is to go for a acute stage where the headaches or the problems are very mild, which can be availed or which can be reduced with the help of any medicine. But we want to be a better alternative for the medicines also, by bringing a model which can be affordable for the end user also. So our next target is to go in that specific market and cater to those people. And our third stage is to cater to the preventive class of the people, that how it can be also a preventive measure also, because migraine is something that if you take certain precautionary steps, certain preventive steps, then it can be easily, it won't happen that episodes might come again and again. So we have broadly classified different stages for this particular segment, and are planning to cater it accordingly for in the coming future.
Great. You already have the action in plan in action actually. That's great to hear. You already have 3 steps. I was actually going to ask you those questions, but you've already you've already answered that. So my next question is actually very simple. Have any of you, both of you, planned on taking this to Shark Tank? Have you had those discussions, guys? एक तो discussion हुआ होगा कि let's go there. Could be a great marketing, could be great money.
We are smiling because of a great reason. We are smiling because of great reason, because actually in the second phase we have been in the second phase, and we are hoping that after this phase also we would be there. So hoping for the
probably fingers crossed. So it was a very difficult journey where we had to stop ourselves for 2 years, knowing the fact that we had to first establish a product which can be presented in front of a Indian audience which goes up to a 1.34 billion audience. So we wanted that specific confidence on ourselves while we are standing in front of this large mass audience. So we had to be very patient for those 2 years, knowing the fact that we had such an interesting thing in our hands, and restricting ourselves to going to Shark Tank and waiting till the right moment and the right opportunity. So it was very difficult for us, both of us, as personal perspective. But yeah, maybe that was the right decision, and just keeping our fingers crossed that we will make it this year after apply. We have done all the right necessary steps for that also, and just keeping our fingers crossed for right now for the moment.
Okay, I won't spill a lot, but fingers crossed. Even I have. It'd be great to have you guys. It'd be great to see you guys on the television also. For sure, looking forward.
that would also add a second step for us. First interviewing on a laptop, then from a laptop to TV. Yeah, so it would be a really great thing to see, that from our mobile screen to laptops and now to TV. That will be a very good story for us to cover also.
Yeah, and now I'm glad I'm doing this interview with you. So hope that happens. Okay, moving on. Karthik, help us understand your distribution strategy as well. You've just launched Mic Relief in the market. It's been 3 months. What is your distribution strategy that you're working on? How do you plan on taking it to the 1 billion people in the Indian market?
So currently, when we talk about a medical device, people have this particular perception that it's a D2C product, but it is very significantly opposite to that. It's basically a lobby where you have to pitch into the right people and pitch to the right key stakeholders, so that the device goes in that particular supply chain. So right now, since we are just started, we have identified two specific channels for that. One is our doctors, and second is our website. And right now we are looking for distributors, and we are also in conversation with multiple of them, because these distributors are the key stakeholders which will help us in growing the company to the stage where we are thinking of making the company $1 billion company. That's because in this particular lobby we need those key stakeholders who can avail the device at a very affordable price to the end user, and also help us as a manufacturer have a very good margin in the same time also. So yeah, that's the whole strategy. Our next stage is to go to such distributors, and if in the future, if we are we are working in the right direction, then we might be coming up with more such devices which can be availed to the end user. And in the adding to that, we have such portfolio products also which are in the pipeline, which we have plans to introduce in the future.
Okay, so constant innovation is right on the door, and then there's a distribution strategy in place already.
Right.
Okay, so I think any distributors who's also watching this, guys, you can directly contact them. Of course, we this is a great product. 20 minutes is it's a great product, definitely great breakthrough technology, and I'm sure we all would love to take it to people who need it the most. So I think everybody can help there. But moving on, I think you guys have already so many achievements in your portfolio. I'd say the question I want to ask is, and I believe you've had a lot of support from it initial days and all of that. But other than that, even if there's a support, you're creating a product, a breakthrough technology, and then you need to take it to the market. It's not that easy. Tell us about the challenges you faced from the day one, and that possibly you're facing even today, and how are you planning to overcome them? How have you overcome them? Please go ahead. Jaideep, do you want to go ahead first?
Yeah. So the major challenge when we bring something which is very new is that people are not ready to take it. They are ready, but in some sense they don't know that how this is going to help them. So for migraine,
right?
right?
Change.
Yeah, true. So like for migraine, people know that it is cured by the medicine. So this notion that it is going to be cured by the medicine and by eating something, to change that perception, it will take time. The awareness that how this device can actually relieve them and can save them from these, the limitations of the medicines. So that is the major challenge, and because of that we cannot actually directly go to the customer. We cannot directly go to the customer until we have very deep pocket. For that it needs time, marketing, and it need to have a very good public relation of the company with the users, that this company is doing something very innovative, and they should realize that this company is present for for some time, and there are good representatives, or and with that only it takes time, and after that only the people starts accepting it. Otherwise the second way is that to go through the people who are already in this space, to educate people like doctor. So for migraine, people go to doctors. So doctors are the right way for us right now to educate the user that okay, you have this specific time, this specific dosage for the medicines. After this I cannot give you this many medicines more to harm you, so take this alternative solution first and then try this. So something like that we are constantly building strategy. And there are n number of ways to do it, but how effectively and how in a very efficient manner in the terms of finance and timing we can do it is very hard to judge, and nobody actually knows. because this is going to happen for the first time in India, which is a very price sensitive market. There are some sort of devices, there are company who comes to India thinking that India is a very big market, but at the same time they forget that it is very price sensitive too. And to educate the users, it takes a lot of patience and time to go to the users directly. So these are the
Just
major
to
challenges that
just
we are.
just to add what Jaideep answered, I would like to add this particular fact that building a medtech startup, that too a hardware startup, requires a lot of perseverance and patience. First of all, if someone is thinking, sitting, watching this interview, that in a month's period or 6 months of period, you will get billionaire or something like that, so that is something you should not keep your hands in then, because myself and Jaideep, when we got out of our hometown, that is Bhilai, Chhattisgarh, we both said to our parents that we are going out for 6 months. In 6 months, we will be building the product and we will be coming back. That was the, you can say, a childish behavior in terms of professionalism, but it was a reality that we also didn't knew. We also knew that products can be made in 6 months. People, if you make something beautiful, people will adopt it irrespective of the fact what you are offering. So that is something that is very necessary for anyone building a startup or building something great. That perseverance and that persistence of constantly waking up, going out, and doing those things again and again and again. We both were very glad that we both stood for this past 5 years. None of us dropped our shoulders, stating that we can have a better opportunity outside also. So that is something that I myself feel very grateful that someone was there with me in this whole journey. So yeah, it helps a lot in that particular perspective, that you have someone, plus our mentors and everyone who was supporting in this whole startup building process during the community. So that perseverance and patience is something I would like to very much enhance upon, because right now the startup world, people think that within 5 minutes, it's a 21 minutes lottery basically. 21 दिन में पैसे डबल हो जाते लोगों के. People have that particular persona. So I would like to break that perspective altogether. So yeah, that is something that I would like to add.
Actually, rightfully mentioned, we've all perceived startup ecosystem that way, and we've started perceiving it that way, and we're seeing the results also. Negative, and on the both sides we're seeing that happen. So startup is a long-term game. You can't play it short-term for that, right? Business especially. And Karthik, what you mentioned, I have actually a follow-up question. You're two boys, okay, and you said you've sticked with each other through thick and stones. Last 5 years, you built this together, but I'm very curious how this chemistry comes about to be. How do you what kind of chemistry do you guys have? You stand through with each other all these 5 years, but if I'd say it's something that we don't generally see, even in even at my place, or even I see at the relatives' place. The two boys, or even brothers, they're also always fighting for some or the other reason. Both have some ego or whatever, right? How do you keep up this chemistry? What's the reason? What's the secret? And I'm sure everybody would love to know that, so that they can also maturely engulf in them and keep a good partnership with their co-founders. How do you keep that?
So we have known each other since 2014, from the first year of college. I would like to specifically mention that Jaideep was not the first guy who I wanted to be friends with, because the type of activities that he was usually aligned with, I was not something that was aligned with those type of activities. But it was very natural instincts that we had, specifically in building that synergy and in building all those perspectives. And one major thing that we usually see in couples also, or lifetime partners also, is that chemistry of one holding a certain part and the other person holding a certain part. So it was very natural for us basically to understand that what should I put my hands on and what Jaideep should put my hands on. There are multiple times when these ego clashes happen, but since we share the same flat also, so post work it is something that we completely switch. I don't know how these instincts have came, but it is something that post work we both are someone very different. When we talk to each other, it becomes a complete different story. So there is no such secret recipe, but it's just that understanding each other in the right particular manner, dropping our ego at the right particular time. I am a very aggressive person. I can't control my emotions or my anger. So on the contrary, Jaideep is someone who practice meditation, yoga, mindfulness. So whoever out there is watching this video, I would suggest that if you are an aggressive person, watch out for a co-founder, not a technical one, but a guy who does meditation. So that would help you for sustaining for 5 years and going for the long run. So yeah, it actually helped me. Someone constantly taking up my anger, not getting the right type of reflecting those emotions back to me and sustaining that particular part. So it helped me a lot in doing this journey for this 5 years. I don't know how I helped Jaideep, but that was something that he helped me in this particular perspective. That because that is something that I personally feel that my anger is something that I have no control over. So yeah, so that's how basically I personally feel that maybe it must have helped me a lot.
Okay, guys, don't call me out for doing this, but I'll just actually do this because I'm sorry. I just felt like doing it for real. I really hope ये जो bonding है, ये ऐसी रहे, because I can see it, because I can see when Jaideep is speaking, Karthik is very much there listening to him, what he is saying, and then when Karthik is speaking, Jaideep is very much there listening to all of it. So I think it's a great chemistry for sure. I think you guys complement each other very well, and that's very visible already in the interview. So I think makes sense. सही बात है. If one is angry head, तो दूसरा calm होना चाहिए. I think that helps.
I don't know if I am that much calm, but our major we fight, but the fight is for bringing this product to the market in a right way and to scale it to the bigger level. So we know that what is necessary and what rubbish, if something that is coming between us, if we are talking any rubbish, we know in some extent that it is not going to bring out any productivity for us. So this understanding is very common between us, that then we will drop it and we'll go to the next part, which is the company for the foremost, because for 5 years we have seen many people who have joined us, who have gone us, but Karthik and I remained through this long period of time. So we know that everyone else who are joining and going, but it is us to whom we have to take it ahead. So that's the important thing that we are carrying on.
That's great. So because we're also talking about that, and you're doing some unconventional things. I know there's a startup culture already, but you started this 5 years back, right? When you said you were right place at the right time. But I'm sorry, can I ask you guys your age?
So we both are 28. You can say हम लोग 95 के model है.
Okay. ठीक है. So you guys are even the same age. Nice. So you're 28. You started probably in when you were 22, 23. You were out of engineering college. How did you get that courage ki, let's do this. This is like, these are the most important years of your life, right? 20s wale, 20 to 30, 20 to 35, where you build the career you're going to do for the rest of your life. And you decided to pursue startup in a med tech industry, which by the way now is gaining the popularity, but back then it was still, I guess, new, right? Especially in India. Tech.
In year 2014, actually, in year 2014, this started slowly to grow, and
Okay.
there were many things which started coming up, mostly in the 2015, 16, 17. And when we were in college, I should say that we were very fortunate, and somehow we had this sense of pursuing the entrepreneurship to build something and to deploy it as a solution to the million of people, so that is going to give happiness to us. That was the inner inner sense of satisfaction which needed to have always. So that is how we pursued it with these things. And the most important thing is that we never knew that it is very difficult. So because of less knowledge and in the advantage, and that is why we always pursued, and we always thought tomorrow we are going to do the good, tomorrow we are going to do the good. And slowly things have changed, in a positive way also. There are of course negatives and positives both, but at the end we had also people around us who always who excited us that this is something very great and you should be continuing on. Because many times we have faced financial crisis in the company also, but somehow, I don't know, somehow by God grace we got supported by some other events or something. It will definitely have come. So that has been happening, and I think that because we have a very clear intention, we have a very transparent intention that we have to build this solution and to serve a million of people. So that is how the universe is also helping us to go in this pathway with with all this courage. But the most important thing is it has always not been very much in a very much planned way.
What I would like to add is that for us, what played a very key role was lack of experience. We basically we didn't had anything to lose, because we both prepared for IIT JEE. Every 10th and 12th guy who prepares for a JEE entrance exam gives his all skin to preparation for that. So we both have seen that preparing for something, trying to achieve something will eventually bring you some discourage or moments of sadness. So till completing the college, we lost that all hopes that we can achieve something. So there was no sense of achieving something. So it was whatever we were achieving, it was a gift for us. So that's how we were able to go ahead and meet the next goals. So that big lack of experience was the biggest role that played in our case. That we didn't knew that samundar kitna gehra hai. We were not aware of that, how deep the sea is. We just knew that we know to swim. Where we are going or where we are heading, it's just the fact that we have to swim for that fact. So that was very essential for us. And second, I would like to really place this particular point that our parents played a very key role on this particular aspect of this, because both Jaideep's parents, my parents, Jaideep's elder brother also, who because when we got our first grant, for a year's duration of time, the grant was not credited in our account. That's when Jaideep's brother pitched in, stating the fact that you should take this ahead, irrespective of the fact that how much money is required to build the product. So that's where he pitched in, and they being persistent enough that despite the fact seeing other kids going for a job, getting salaries, giving gifts, our parents were not forcing us to do such a kind of thing. And Jaideep being a Tiwari, not getting a comparison with a Sharma's son. So that all played a very key role in our case. So yeah, big cheers to both of our parents and our siblings and our relatives in all those perspectives.
Oh, that actually got me goosebumps. I'm not even kidding. Excited because it's lovely to see कि जहाँ से you can least expect the support or understanding, you get the most from there. So ये बहुत interesting है, right? And it's not like you come from a very fancy city where they don't care about ठीक है, you have money, or they don't care about career so much. It's fine. You'll probably settle in. You don't come from there, right? तो वहाँ से understanding आना is great. I mean, very I think we all should thank to your families for being that support. Could actually help people. तो ये तो अच्छा है. अब let's talk about one more interesting part. Let's talk about financials. Right? Let's understand what is your financial forecasting like. What are you planning? How are you planning the financials to come up in the next few months, since the product is already out in the market?
So the plans are in this particular manner that we have achieved a certain set of revenue for this particular financial year, and the goal is to achieve up to 60 to 70 lakhs for this particular financial year. That's how we are planning to grow the revenue stream. And since, like I was mentioning, that we have plans in the future of bringing a product which will be much more affordable to a larger use case, which will help us in growing our revenue by maybe 20x. So that's the goal. Right now, the goal that we are looking for, and in the future also, not only helping the people who are suffering from the problem, but also giving them an alternative for a preventive measures also, because that's the whole point in developing a good health ecosystem. Not only coming when the problem is there, but also availing and making the people understand that this might lead to such problems, so rather take the right precautionary steps. So we want to be that part. We want to cater to that market also. So that's the whole agenda, and we are planning our growth according to that. And in the future, if we will be more than it will give us the biggest amount of satisfaction that if a product from India goes to the urban market, the foreign market, and is being preferred, it's being preferred as a better alternative than the product of that specific country. It would give us the best sleep for the night. So that's the whole goal that we both resonate with, and have that final agenda that if this happens one day, it will be something that we will have the best night's sleep while going to bed. So yeah, that's the whole agenda of ours.
Understood. Very, very relatable to that. I think every Indian can relate to that. Somehow deep inside, we're building for India, but we do have a bigger aim of taking it to the world. So I'm sure you guys will play a great role in the growth story of India that's being built up. Even I think you guys have also would have seen, right? I think the recent report by Goldman Sachs, where it is predicted that India will surpass US as the second largest economy by 2075. Somebody told me it could happen before that as well. But isn't that very interesting?
Interesting, but sad that we would be old by that time.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Oh, shit. Sorry.
So we will have to gear up our socks and maybe bring that timeline very back, so that we will be alive to see that particular incident happening. So we will have to gear up our socks on all those perspectives.
Yeah, and the major pressure is on you guys. We were hoping you build up such med tech technologies that we live up to that. So definitely there. Karthik, it's just based out of curiosity. I have a very quick question. Answer it very shortly. You come from an engineering background. You haven't done your MBA, right?
Right.
Right? But you're into the domain of marketing, sales, finance. How did you get this financial knowledge? How do you even understand those terms? Have you taught yourself those things, or has there been somebody who's been helping you, mentoring you on those cases?
Generally mentors played a very essential role on that particular perspective, but it was something that I had to take up. It was not an option for me, because given Jaideep's much interest and much more understanding towards the technical aspect of the product, so I had to pitch in that particular moment of time to take up a certain thing. And it was somewhat natural also to me, because during my school days or during my college days, I usually used to look after what needs to go in investment in the family, where we need to put money in the right particular manner. So people used to rely on me itself.
You used to do that while you're in your school days?
Yeah, so I didn't had understanding of stocks, but I had a bit of understanding about mutual funds, FDs, how they used to operate, what was the whole agenda, how they usually used to keep money. So I had this understanding, because during my school days at a tuition where I used to go, that particular tutor used to heavily invest on stock market when Zerodha or as such internet booms was not happening. So I was very curious enough to know all these particular things. So he used to say, जब पैसा कमाएगा तब पैसा बनाने की बात करना. But then also having an understanding. So it was very natural for me. And when I got the opportunity, I thought this is the right time to pitch in and work on all those perspectives. It will help me in getting a better perspective and growth also, and also make me more mature on this particular spectrum of business. So that was the whole agenda, and that's how it finished.
So Jaideep, you're planning to go back to that tutor, tell him I've made some money, अब क्या करना है?
Right. But he is exceptionally good, being from the engineering background in the calculations and projections and all that. I totally rely on him for all those part, because for me, I am not a very much mathematical guy, and or if I sit down for doing that calculation, I might make 21 दिन में पैसे double in the projection, and that won't be realistic. So I rely on him.
Awesome. So, guys, Karthik and Jaideep, tell me, what are you guys working on now? What is the next? What are the products that are in the pipeline that you're working on? If you can give us some insights on that, Jaideep, we'll start with you.
Sure. So we, apart from this migraine leaf, we have also developed products like one product is called bone conduction hearing aid. So right now in India, there is no company which manufactures bone conduction hearing aid. There are normal hearing aid, but bone conduction hearing aid are not manufactured here in India. And we have been funded by IIT Delhi to develop a very cost-effective solution for conductive hearing loss. Because this bone conduction hearing is used for conductive hearing loss, which is a category of deafness, which is a different category of deafness. And for that, right now in India, these products are imported from Germany or France, from foreign countries, and they cost us 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees. And because of which many people who are in need of this are not getting the proper solution. So we proposed it to IIT Delhi, and through BIRAC we have received fund to develop that, and we have developed it and tested on the peoples, and we have demand to, but on the other side, since we are very much focused to the migraine relief, we are not in the production of the bone conduction hearing aid. So one or two pieces, just like if somebody who is coming from the close friend circle or somebody's relatives, then only we are deploying it. Otherwise we are not completely dedicated to it. And the other product is a neurofeedback device. So right now almost in the 80% psychologists who do their practices right now, they don't have any instruments to see what to see during the counseling when they are doing the counseling for the person, for the subject or the patient. They don't exactly know whether the person who is telling all these things about himself is right or not, in the sense that whether they are feeling the same thing or not, or what is that which they are actually hiding. Because with this mental health problem, there is something always which is hiding behind their mind, which the person is also not knowing.
Yeah, that is, I think, a big thankfully you mentioned that point, क्योंकि जो चीजें दिख रही है या जो खुद को इंसान को पता है वो तो ठीक है, you can find a way, right? But there are so many things that the person also doesn't know कि हो क्या रहा है अंदर. So that's a good point. Please, sorry, go on.
Right. Yeah, no problem. So generally it happens that the person who says I am very hard is actually very emotional, and the person who says I am not afraid of anything is actually very fearful. And that is what the compulsive, what we can say, to fulfill that fear, there is these words which are coming out.
Okay.
So to see that actually in the very scientific manner, we have this device which actually helps psychologists to see in the screen if this person is lying, or what is that actually behind their mind. So and this is not a very new technology. It's actually available. We might have seen in some form like lie detector. In lie detector, this is the actually when the person is lying, there is one graph which is going on, and that can drop, or the frequency of the sound will change. So in our case, we show it by the graphs and then proper number. So it is very useful for the psychologist. This is the other product which is called Shunyam, and it is going to be very helpful for the practitioner of meditation also, person who practices meditation, because they can see that for what particular period of time they have been here at this moment right now, and for what particular period of time they have been wandering somewhere, and they were not actually participating in the being here moment, which is meditation. So these are the two words. Then the third is about the drug delivery. So this is a very new technology. We have signed NDA with the Bioscience Department of IIT Bombay, where we are developing a solution which can deliver the drug through skin at the right exact position where the pain is happening. So it can relieve the pain immediately. The main agenda is to relieve the pain immediately by disposing the drugs right at the moment and right at the position where the pain is happening.
Okay.
So these are the products that we are
and
working
all of these
on.
All of these products are they in the pipeline? Are they ready to use for the public? Which one of them are out there?
So two products which I told are actually developed, and up to some level we one or two pieces we have sold, but then since we are focused on the migraine, so we are continuing with the migraine, and we are not producing those two other products. We'll take separate funding and support system for those products, and then we'll go to the market. So right now only migraine.
Understood. And my last question for the day before you guys leave us with some astonishing facts about what's happening in the medtech industry with the new AI, data analytics, new technology coming up. Give us some astonishing facts. कि हो क्या रहा है?
Right.
maybe हो इतना सारा रहा है कि हम लोग को कैचअप करने में पता नहीं चल रहा कि हो क्या रहा है. इतना सारी चीजें हो रही है. But having said that, we always make sure that we are in sync with what technology is happening in the right moment of time. अभी क्या क्या चीजें चल रही है. Statistics wise, currently I don't have as such specific statistics कि ये हो रहा है, बट इन द फ्यूचर हम लोग का भी प्लान है कि हम माइग्रेन लीफ और एआई को इंटीग्रेट करके लोगों का फ्यूचर में अटैक्स को भी प्रेडिक्ट कर पाएंगे. वो वी हैव लेड फाउंडेशंस फॉर दैट आल्सो. एंड फ्यूचर में हमारा गोल भी इसी तरीके से है कि वी कैन प्रेडिक्ट द फ्यूचर माइग्रेन अटैक सो दैट पीपल कैन टेक प्रिकॉशनरी स्टेप प्रायर इटसेल्फ. ये that is something that I wanted to add. If Jaideep has anything to add on that.
Right. So because we see lot of devices and our competitors in some other sense. So generally what we have seen is the whole this medical industry is going forward towards the prevention. So now there are devices and the solution which are coming to prevent from the happening of the diseases. Like if you talk about there are very much advances with the help of AI and the camera vision, which can actually predict the happening of cancer at a very early level. And if this is getting predicted, then it could save a lot of people from getting into the very last stage or very devastating situation. So this is one very important thing which is going to come, that many industries are coming into the prevention side. So before the happening of the diseases into very last stage, we can actually predict it, and we can prevent it too.
Just to add on that, अगर फ्यूचर ऑफ medtech आप देखना चाहोगे, if you want to look at the future of medtech, I would explain with a use case. If you are आप अगर सुबह उठ के ब्रश कर रहे हो तो medtech का फ्यूचर ऐसे होने वाला है कि वो ब्रश वाली एक्टिविटी से ही आपका प्रेडिक्शन आ जाएगा कि आपको क्या कोई कैंसर हुआ है या कोई दिक्कत है रही है, जिंदगी में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है क्या. तो फ्यूचर medtech का कुछ ऐसा होने वाला है. एक वेरी बेसिक एक्टिविटी will be needed for the companies to predict ki what wrong is happening with you. That would be the future of medtech in the future. You don't need to go to a doctor, diagnose करवाने के लिए पर्ची कटवाना नहीं पड़ेगा. That would be the ease that would be coming in the future in medtech industry. So yeah, that will be the future, and there are very good foundations that have been laid to make that future happen.
That's so interesting to hear कि ये सब होने वाला है.
Also, one more thing.
Mhm.
So for the past many years we have been following West and looking towards them for the solutions through allopathy. But if you see in the recent times, there are many things which are happening, and the world is seeing the solution of this all the illnesses and disease towards the India through some sort of you can say the spirituality, in the sense of spirituality, meditation, yoga and other things. So for the last many years and decades, we have the world has always looked towards the allopathy, towards the solution of many mental health disease, illness and diseases. But now the scenario is getting changed. The world is now looking towards India to get a holistic solution like meditation and yoga, which can actually prevent, as I was talking about the prevention. So this is the best way, like yoga and meditation. And in if we see the whole structure of Ayurveda, it talks about the three, like Vata, Pitta and Kapha dosha. So these are some fundamental things where now the world is also looking towards it, and they want to have the solution which is not causing any which is not having much limitations of dosages and the other ill effects of that. Generally it is less if it is taken in a well considered manner then. So this is one thing also towards which the world is moving.
Fair. Astonishing है, but I think true, we can already see it happening around. So I think we're not far away from that reality, right? तो हो ही रहा है वो सब. Completely agree. But Jaideep and Karthik, thank you really much for joining this conversation. It was very insightful. I got a lot of insights for real, such as कि कैसे मैं brush करूँगी, and I'll get to know what's happening with me. But no, everything other than that, you're building a great product, Mic Relief. I'm looking forward to using it myself and for my family as well. Very much looking forward to it, and I hope it reaches to the people who need it the most, and then to prevent it and so on. I hope you are very successful in your intention. I hope we take it to the world as well. So guys, all the best. Thank you so much. And for everybody watching, we'll come back with more such conversations with so many amazing founders, and especially Jaydeep and Karthik again. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Thank you so much. Bye bye.